So instead of the bankers like buying up US politicians and influencing US empire and getting what they want that way, the decarbonization funds go toward a specific company that's tied up with this particular group that's trying to build an intercontinental power smart grid from the Americas. And they've been testing their smart grid in poor communities in Latin America, in Los Angeles, actually, in the US, and also in Colombia and some other countries.
Whitney Webb highlights the intimate connections between the IMF, the World Bank, and the US military. Documents published by WikiLeaks reveal that these institutions act as financial weapons for the US, aiding in the imposition of economic policies that benefit the US and its allies. Now, there's a shift towards making these entities direct tools of global bankers, bypassing traditional political influence routes. The reimagining of these financial institutions involves creating a new economic system marked by programmable money and voluntary carbon markets, which are voluntary in name only. The Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, led by Carney and Mike Bloomberg, is spearheading this transformation. These figures, with backgrounds in major financial institutions, are now positioned as leaders in climate finance for the United Nations. Reflecting a deeper agenda, Webb discusses the emergence of carbon markets and digital wallets, such as those being developed by the World Bank, Google, and other entities. These innovations aim to monetize nature and integrate carbon credits into the financial system. However, this raises significant legal and ethical concerns, including potential land grabs in the Global South, where ownership of natural resources could be transferred to foreign investors through carbon credits.
By the way, the IMF, the World Bank, intimately tied with US empire. The US military even admitted in documents that were published by WikiLeaks that they're financial weapons of the US military, the IMF and the World Bank. Yeah.
So
now what they're doing instead, by reimagining them, is that they're taking US empire out of it and they're having it basically be a direct weapon of the bankers. So instead of the bankers like buying up US politicians and influencing US empire and getting what they want that way, they're reimagining it to basically create this new economic system that we've seen bits of over the past few years. The idea of programmable, surveillable money, and also this idea of a voluntary carbon market. The goal of which is to have it be voluntary in name only, not unlike digital ID and all of that stuff. So if you want to know more about this, you can look at the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero that was created by Carney and Mike Bloomberg, which somehow the UN decided were the best people for the job of saving the planet. They're in charge of climate finance for the United Nations. The stop and frisk New York mayor billionaire from Salomon Brothers, Mike Bloomberg, and the former head of the Bank of England and Bank of Canada and former Goldman Sachs guy, Carney. That's who's saving the planet for the UN. They're the ones reimagining this, the whole multilateral development banking system. And part of this involves this carbon market play where the World Bank, along with Google and some other actors, are developing climate wallets. They're designing it. It's designed to run on, I believe, the Chia network, which is the guy that invented BitTorrent, his new project. And they claim to be sort of like a net zero blockchain, I guess. And basically the idea of it is for people to participate in the carbon market to come. And the idea of people being able to sort of like monetize nature. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on with carbon credits and carbon markets right now. And it's a very murky legal area. And I'm very concerned about it because there's this whole mentioned but relatively unexplored issue of so-called carbon rights, where the person that buys the carbon credit can get rights to the carbon in the forest the credit represents. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like, I buy a carbon credit in this forest, this Colombian rainforest, and now I am potentially the owner of the carbon in those trees, so I can decide what happens to that carbon. And the people that actually like own the land, or like Colombians, they don't necessarily own it anymore, potentially. This is like this murky gray area, so it's opening the way up, I think, to some land grabs in the global south. So a lot of very disturbing things happening in carbon market land. And even under the idea of, reducing CO2 levels and all of that. The carbon market, as it's been functioning, just hasn't done that. It's been criticized by people on the left and the right. And then there's been time and time again, it's been revealed by even mainstream media that up to 90% of all carbon credits on the market right now are completely worthless and meaningless. I think it's been clear for a long time, and as I'm sure you're aware, there's a push to onboard everyone to a digital ID system. Vaccine passports during COVID were a big part of this. But there's been all sorts of pushes for it. For example, WorldCoin. Sam Altman, scan your eyeball, get a unique digital ID in a wallet you can have tokens in. People in the global south that they're basically being bribed to give up their biometric data for the guy that runs OpenAI with Microsoft and stuff. There's these digital ID initiatives are consistently tested on vulnerable stateless people, but the goal is to have it rolled out globally and to have it be interfaced with a digital wallet where the money is programmable and surveillable. So a lot of people have been talking about CBDCs, central bank issued digital currency. But there's also going to be digital currencies just as surveillable and programmable that are issued by the private sector and the Wall Street banks. And that isn't being talked about enough. Right. So one of the stable coins I mentioned earlier that people in Argentina are being rapidly onboarded to because their currency is being destroyed, Tether recently onboarded the FBI and Secret Service to its platform.
Jesus.
So everyone that uses Tether gets to use their money under the watchful eye of American intelligence, essentially. And those same actors, the FBI and the Secret Service, are part of this public-private partnership housed within the World Economic Forum. It's basically U.S., Israeli, and UK intelligence, plus a lot of big banks and PayPal. Their ambition is to end online anonymity, and with that, also financial anonymity. So we're seeing unprecedented crackdowns on, financial privacy tools, both for cryptocurrency and for regular transactions, and big pushes from all across the internet, really, to have you tie your government-issued ID to what you do online, whether it's your social media account or really anything. And so the goal here is to have, create a completely surveillable system based on biometrics and with money that the government or whoever can directly program and surveil. So programming it means that you can only use the money for what they say you can use it for, and you can only send it to who they say you can send it to.
Another critical issue is the global push towards digital IDs, often linked to digital wallets and programmable money. Initiatives like WorldCoin, which involve scanning people's eyeballs for digital identification, are being tested on vulnerable populations in the global south. These digital IDs are part of a broader effort to create a surveillable financial system, where every transaction can be monitored and controlled. Webb also touches on the rise of stablecoins and their integration into the financial system. For example, Tether, a popular stablecoin, has onboarded entities like the FBI and Secret Service, highlighting the erosion of financial privacy. These stablecoins are part of a larger effort by the financial sector to maintain control in a digital economy. Blending private sector initiatives with governmental oversight, big tech companies and government agencies are collaborating to end online and financial anonymity. Initiatives housed within the World Economic Forum, involving US, Israeli, and UK intelligence agencies, aim to link government-issued IDs with online activities. This would create a comprehensive surveillance system, affecting everything from social media to financial transactions.
The decarbonization funds go toward a specific company that's tied up with this particular group that's trying to build an intercontinental power smart grid from the Americas, and they've been testing their smart grid in poor communities in Latin America, in Los Angeles, actually, in the US, and also in Colombia and some other countries, with the idea of having it all tied together and having energy be currency. And the idea is to move away from currency as we know it now and have all these commodity-backed currencies, and that people trade energy or trade carbon credits. And basically, it's complicated. There's a lot of different reasons for why they're moving in that direction. Part of it is because of the insane amount of debt that the world is saddled with. You have to park that debt in certain places. You have to find ways to manage it, right? And so, some of these stable coins are being used for that. Carbon credits are being used for that. Actually, RFK's vice president, Nicole Shanahan, was running or managing a project at Stanford Law that was about using carbon credits to facilitate quantitative easing, which is, the endless money printing by the Federal Reserve. So there's been a lot of, efforts to look at what they're going to do with the debt. And essentially, they have to remake the financial system. But they're, making it in a way where it's, completely surveillable and controllable. And these are really the ambitions that the U.S. national security state had right after 9/11 and tried to impose on everybody. Total information awareness, for example, was a program that they tried to enact. And there was a big uproar about it at the time in like 2003, 2004, because even the New York Times and stuff knew that it was going to completely eliminate privacy for the average American. And so the ambition of this program was to surveil literally everything, including people's like health signals, to prevent pandemics before they can happen. To prevent financial crime before it can happen.
Yeah.
To prevent
Pre-crime.
terrorist attacks before it can happen. It's pre-crime.
Pre-crime.
And Total Information Awareness was recreated as a private company in 2004, right after Congress defunded it, and it's provably Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company that contracts to every single U.S. intelligence agency. They privatized it because they realized if they can frame it as a private company, people won't complain. People will give their data freely to the private company. So Peter Thiel doesn't just make Palantir, he also makes Facebook. And they build this network of companies. And now Palantir, for years, has been testing predictive policing in urban communities in the United States, really testing it all over the world now. And I'm kind of concerned they're going to make a very big comeback with Trump, because some of the main people in developing those policies for Palantir, when Trump was in office last time, they were very intimately tied up and served in the Trump administration. People like Trey Stevens, for example. And Trey Stevens created a company with the Oculus Rift guy, the VR headset guy, Palmer Luckey, that used to work, that got, thanks to Peter Thiel, sold his company to Facebook, and then got more Thiel funding. They're building the smart wall for Democrats and Trump, because Trump doesn't want an actual physical wall anymore. He's all in on the smart wall. And on a recent campaign stop said we need a biometric entry exit tracking system for everyone. That's how we're going to stop, illegal migration and all of that. I think there's a big goal here to have U.S. empire really clamp down on Latin America. For this new, global turf war between the West and BRICS and whatnot. The U.S. doesn't plan to have the dollar die and be dethroned. They plan to bring it back in a very significant way with these dollar-denominated stable coins. And other tools they have at their disposal as well. So to think that the bankers in Wall Street are just going to drift off into the night without a fight, these guys have been saddling countries around the world in debt for a very long time. They're remaking policies from either at the UN or at the, the World Bank, IMF levels. These institutions have enormous influence, and they have every intention to keep the debt slavery model going. But because of, economic realities, they have to reinvent that system. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Webb explains the shift towards using energy and carbon credits as currency, driven by the need to manage global debt. Projects like intercontinental power grids and smart grids are being tested in various regions, aiming to integrate energy trading into the financial system. This complex web of initiatives serves multiple purposes, including debt management and the facilitation of quantitative easing through carbon credits. The ambition for Total Information Awareness, originally a U.S. government program, has been privatized through companies like Palantir. Founded by Peter Thiel, Palantir provides extensive surveillance capabilities to intelligence agencies worldwide. This privatization circumvents public scrutiny, allowing for the collection of vast amounts of data under the guise of private enterprise. As the U.S. seeks to maintain its dominance in the face of rising powers like BRICS, the financial sector's strategies are crucial. The use of dollar-denominated stablecoins and other financial tools ensures continued influence over global economics. The shift towards a more controlled financial system is part of a broader strategy to adapt to changing geopolitical realities while maintaining power. Please like and subscribe my channel.